what the guys had to say about maybe.
Oh yeah,
Brown.
you see Jalen? I was in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Jalen talked. I love what Jalen said about the collective effort here. He gave a lot of credit to Grant. And
Oh
you
man,
know,
what a game!
he was amazing, and he thought he was the one who really turned this game around with his third quarter efforts there. Loved what Pritchard did, certainly. Pritchard had the go-ahead shot there. Big shooting for the whole fourth quarter from Pritchard. That's becoming like his spot in these games. What did I call him? The gentleman in the fourth earlier this season. He's starting to take that on again. So you're really seeing everybody just fit in their roles. I love what Jalen said. It's not me and Jason. It's not me, Jason, and Smart. It's the Celtics. And 1 through 8 at this point, everybody has their role, knows where they're supposed to be on defense, knows how to connect with each other on the offensive end. And I said this on the group thread, Jimmy. Think of the things that they've overcome now in the last couple of weeks here. Major injury, blowing a massive lead in game 1, going down by 17 in this game. All three of those things would have killed this team early this year. Those were the three things that killed this team: going down by a ton, blowing huge leads, and injuries and COVID, all those excuses. Well, now they've just soared past all these things. The resolve of this team, it just knows no bounds. Like they overcome everything at this point. And it's amazing because they couldn't overcome anything at the start of the year. It's absolutely insane how everything just flipped on its head midway through this year, and it's continuing even through more turmoil.
And it's incredible when you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference and the other teams that are sort of look a little flimsy, at times, and you're like, man, the Celtics, you give them this matchup in the first round that has everything you can want in the series, and they're just checking all the boxes right now of what a team's supposed to be like in terms of not just relying on two guys, not just relying on a few defenders to lock things down. No, everyone is doing their part, and it's a short rotation. Ime's only playing 3 guys off the bench, but everyone's going in there with the same mindset, with the same attitude, and the same approach.
The bench was so great today.
The defense, in my opinion, man, there was some points in that fourth quarter I was just like, are they folding on the Celtics right now? Like, I honestly got that impression.
Ime didn't want to get away from his bench.
Durant just looked like he was just spent, and then Kyrie was trying to do things, and getting to the free throw line was like his only. Was like the thing he was leaning on the most in that fourth quarter, and it just wasn't enough because he couldn't convert buckets, he couldn't convert field goals, And Marcus Smart all over Kyrie. It's like he remembered, or someone reminded him, hey, you only have 1 foul. Oh, all right, cool, And then he picked up 2 real quick, but it was like he just made life difficult for Kyrie again, and Kyrie barely scored double digits for that, because of that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and Ime didn't want to get away from that bench, just to mention those guys again. Pritchard stays in there till about 4 minutes to go. Grant closes the game. Those guys became so vital. I even felt like Derek White had a few moments, but foul trouble ultimately played his night there. But you're getting contributions deep on this roster right now. You include Horford in that, who had another really strong first half. Those threes back-to-back held them in the game there. I'd classify him among the role guys that are really stepping up in this series. And even on a night where Dragic goes off 7 of his first 10, Drummond's hitting Horford hard inside and on the offensive boards. Bruce Brown got off to this massive start, scores the first 9 points, and ended up having a big game overall. It still felt like the Celtics had the better role guys, unbelievably, after all of that. This was Brooklyn's best punch, I felt like. You got everything. You got all the defense you needed and you build a 17-point lead. You can't lose that game if you're the Nets. And they did in pretty catastrophic fashion. And I don't know if you were on Steve Nash show, Sway. We were both reading the quotes, but it didn't look like he had answers.
Yeah.
So again, I just don't know what the response is for Brooklyn. More Durant? They're gonna just tell him to do even more? Because it looks like he's exhausted himself by what he's done so far.
That's what it sounded like in that presser, man. I mean, look, going into this one, I expected them to take a lot of threes, and they somewhat did. I mean, in comparison to what they did in game 1, and those shots were falling for Seth Curry. They were falling for Bruce Brown. They were
hitting tough shots
guys off the
early
bench.
on.
Patty Mills, Dragic, both hit one, and I don't see Durant saying like, okay, let's keep giving those guys more shots. Like, I just don't see that. Like, that's not going to be the game plan. It's going to be, we'll take what we can get from you guys, but like, we got it from here. And I think they're going to rely on home court, and they're going to rely on just trying to fight back. And obviously implementing those guys too and getting their open looks. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, though, Durant's going to do his. He's going to do his thing. I mean, he was 4 for 17. Kyrie 4 13.
He's shooting 31% in the series, Josue.
Kyrie's not shooting much better, man. I mean,
it's unreal. You can dream of doing a better job on Durant. It's every time he's going into the paint, he gets swallowed up. It just, the ocean envelops him.
You said it earlier, man. I don't think I've seen a team defend Durant this way in a series. I mean, I know it's only been 2 games, but so far I'm really impressed.
They're making him
Golden State was I don't know. It's just like I'm trying to think of like other times. I'm just
I mean, they're making him work for everything. He's getting. It looks to be extremely frustrated out there, just disinterested almost to the point of he's almost like throwing up his hands, like, what else can I do? They're not giving me an inch right now, and when they do, I'm getting bodied, I'm getting hit, I'm working for every little inch I can get here on the court, and it's probably tiring him out too. And the Celtics basically full-time job out there is to stop Durant and Kyrie. Now, we just talked about Durant, but Kyrie tonight was even worse. I mean, he was literally non-existent in that fourth quarter. I'm surprised because I just thought the way he showed out in game 1 with everything that was going on, I mean, he was unconscious out there at points in that fourth quarter, almost single-handedly won the game for Brooklyn, and just didn't have it tonight. Just didn't even really do one memorable thing that I can't think of one thing he did in the fourth quarter, to be completely honest. I mean, was that the vibe you guys, Bobby and Josue, is that what you kind of, what did you see in there in that fourth quarter with him? Was that something they were doing? Was that a Marcus Smart thing? Was that just a Kyrie?
I think Mark
engaged?
Yeah. I think Marcus had a lot to do with that. But there was other guys too. I mean, the switching. I mean, shit, even Al got a stop on him at one point, right?
Good traps.
They try to put him on an island, and Al's like, "Come on, man! Like I've been here before. It's been done, and he got to stop. It just seemed like that's Celtics basketball right now. You could switch off anybody, and it doesn't even matter because everyone is just gonna get that stop, I guess. But yeah, I thought he was rattled. And then when it comes to Durant, man, it was like he couldn't take more than 2 steps without having to pass the ball up and try to get it back, and he just looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, there was a really good sequence. I think it was in the third quarter where Grant stopped them twice in a row. They were just starting to get back within single digits there after halftime, and that's essentially what got them back, like right within 2 to 4 points there with those string of stops on Kyrie. They trapped timely. It always felt like a guy was coming right in with the double at the last possible minute once he touched the paint. And then on the perimeter, as Josue talked about there, was smart. It was guys being able to keep their men in front of them one-on-one. I think what's key to the series and what ended up being a great game plan on Ime's part was that they're not over-doubling. They're not giving guys open looks elsewhere. They really want to seal up the role players and be attentive to the stars, put enough pressure on them. And what that's basically boiled down to is shuffling these guys into some drop coverage, giving them no room to operate in the paint. If you want to take jumpers one-on-one, we'll contest them one-on-one. We'll hold our ground individually as defenders here, but we're not just going to double on the 3-point line and let you dump it off to the big man or to your shooters here. You're going to hold your ground one-on-one as defenders is basically what the Celtics said here, and they've done that. And then, if a guy gets into the paint, Horford will rotate in. Tice was, doing some good drop coverage in this game. I thought it's just a very amorphous defense, and guys are able to help each other out if they get into some trouble. And again, it's the same principle as Rob. Cut out the paint entirely. How many easy paint looks? I know they got some early, but in the second half, the Nets weren't getting to the rim. They might have got some free throws there, but mostly they were getting swallowed and turning the ball over.